Welcome, everyone. So grateful you're here. And I can hear the music still playing in the background. So that tells me, there we go, boom. We've still got Rumble open. So grateful you're here and a happy Sunday, fun day. Norma Jean will be here in just a moment. There she is. Ta-da. We actually had some sun out today. So I've been making a conscious decision to get my arse butt outside and spend some time outside in nature. And I used to do this daily, and now I'm doing it a few times a week. And we went down to the beach the other day, and you just get out and you observe. And today was a 4-hour hike, so today was a bit more serious. We went up to the snow and checked out a beautiful lake. I've posted some photos in regards to that, and we'll post a few more when I'm done. But peace can be found always, no matter how chaotic the outside world is. So depending on what you're consuming, you will find that peace can be found within. And this is one way I definitely find peace. I really, as it gets crazier out there and the volume gets louder and you can feel it energetically, it's like, you know what? No, I'm just going to go outside and play in nature. So grateful to see you, Sherry, Sarah. Yeah. And we've definitely got no, Norma Jean, you speak for a minute. Let everyone know how you're doing, please.
It's just, it's before the full moon, so it's picking up big time, and so it's like you keep going and you just do the best you can where you're at and just keep improving as this time goes on, because that's I don't think any of us can drop any lower than we already have, at least the ones of us that are sitting here now, because I believe that most of us hit our rock bottoms, so to speak. So it's one of those that it's like, I know what it's like to be there, so I just keep pushing and going in that direction, ascending, not that I'm ascending because, I'm fixing to get a crown upon my head or anything like that. I ascend every day. I ascend through the challenges that present themselves to me every day. And I ascend, those old programs that want to show up and be able to, put you back in that place that you used to be. And, you just got to step back and you say, no, I've been here before. I'm a new me. I'm going to just keep coming at this. And, there's always a solution to anything that presents itself. And as long as I don't allow myself to go to that place where, that downtrodden programming that still exists within us all, no matter, how much we're mastering being that better version of ourselves, we still exist in a place where those influences in, those frequencies and vibrations are still around us. So, it's one of those that it's just, geez, as Dory says, keep swimming.
Dory's the new mascot for today. Yeah, one foot in front of the other. It's all those little steps that add up to great change over time, and to remember who you truly are. And definitely, as if you're paying attention to full moons or not, one must be able to witness that things shift around full moons, because life can get a little woohoo, a little more activated. People are a little more excited, agitated. There's a lot of people suppressing or attempting to suppress what's going on. And, I've said this before too. And, a lot of people discount that, oh, this energy thing you keep talking about, I don't get it. Well, we can look at things like a crystal, and you can think that there's a crystal in your cell phone that allows it to operate. And so that's connecting to a tower, allegedly. I was trying to connect to a satellite on my hike today because it said I could. So it was like, well, let's see. Because we can't see the connection, but we know it's there. Think Bluetooth, think AirDrop, think Wi-Fi. Just because you can't perceive it with these eyes doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Think about when you put your hand over a pot of, of hot water and there's steam. Now you can see the steam and it's going to burn you. It doesn't look like it's going to burn you, but it does burn you, doesn't it? So we have to remember, even though what we perceive as the human, which is such a narrow bandwidth, we can't see, what is it, infrared, and what was the other one?
X-ray.
X-ray. Yeah. So, and animals can see more than us. And so you're surrounded by energy right now. You're surrounded by your own energy. And so when we slow down enough to really feel the energies, when you walk in a room and you're just like, oh, there's something about this room. I can't be in here. Or you go in a store, you're picking up on the energies. And those of us that are more empathic per se, I think we're all empathic. We're just more tuned into it and able to read things. Then as you step into that more and you go, oh, I get this now. And then you embody a different way of being when you go to specific places so that your energy is not drained from it. Or maybe you put up some boundaries with family members and friends that are draining you. But there's a lot of people out there right now that they don't know to feel. They're all up here. And so they'll just suppress and ignore. But as we go into this full moon and we're in a photon belt. Photons are energy. The sun's blasting us. The earth is vibrating more. What do you think that's doing to us? That's mostly water. It's vibrating. So whatever needs to come up to be cleared is going to be coming up. You may have sudden memories of childhood or past events. As I was burning all the papers, I had a bunch of Powell painting papers that I couldn't put in recycling. So I burned them in front of the fireplace and I just sat there with intention and crumpled them and was like, release. We'll just let it go. Let it all go. And then boom, things started to pop into my head, past clients, past staff. And I was like, oh, this is interesting. All right, let's put some more purpose to this. And so it was a beautiful alchemy of just releasing and letting go. And even moving your body, yoga, breath work, dancing, singing, all move energy. Your voice is your frequency. Want to add to that, Norma? I know you do.
It's probably the other yesterday when we had our mentorship meeting and stuff. There was much conversation had in that. As we keep coming together and we keep reaching out to the ones that can hear us through the messages that we keep providing here for the ones that are with us and the ones that are still coming in, that no matter where we're at, there's going to be that time, even if we do go out to say like shopping or you go out to eat or whatever it may be, and you're coming across people because you're a little more aware of yourself, so you get to where you're a little more aware of your environment. So one of the great conversations we had yesterday in the group was that when we see another, there's almost that instant, I know you, I know I do. It's something about your face. And, it was a great conversation because it becomes that understanding that here's where our connections come in, because it's like, no matter where we are and what's taking place, there are times that our environment gives us a chance and opportunity to see that we recognize someone and we think it's a face. We think it's a smile. But if we're able to get the chance and opportunity to get a little closer to them, it's one of those that we come to realize is it's an energy. It's an energy that we pick up on because it's that connection that's beyond this place. And especially if you're, connected in a way where there seems to be that energy is corresponding with yours in certain levels and degrees, because when we come to understand this place, as we keep, just learning where we're at, the more we come to understand that a lot of us came in with specific things that were attached to us on an energetic level. And that's what draws us to one another. And, there's such an array and level of multiplicity to the understanding of energies. So when we speak energy, there's so much that can be referenced to it because there's such a multiplicity of excuse me, of levels, because even in this dimension, it's multidimensional. So it was one of those, as we was having a conversation, it was like, there are times that I when I think of this, it's like it makes me go back to my memories because I can bring those forward because what I have is my past because I have experience there. And whenever I'm able to bring certain things forward, it's like, one way that I associate energies myself when I meet someone is it's almost like a certain individual in your life that made an impact is what that energy shows you when you're making that connection with someone. Or if it's an energy that that is grabbing your attention, you have that immediate, you have that thought because for so long we were taught that, in that limitedness that, oh, you just recognize them because they have a face, that it's because of that face. But what happens is it's not as much that you're recognizing that individual because of how they look. It's a memory of an energy connection that takes the being, the form that energy is in, and it's recognizable because of the energy. And it's almost like pulling or drawing from a future time back to you saying, this is someone that I know this energy, I recognize this energy, and I'm meeting them here in this here now time space. And so it just broadens my wow, where's this coming from? What is this about? Keep working with me, higher self, heart, lead me, guide me into understanding, where's this coming from? Because I know it's not just coming from one specific place. There's so many for us to, grasp and take the chance and opportunity just to get to a place of knowing without defining it or without, thinking it's crazy and rejecting, anything that is being given to us, because that is an innate way of being with self, where we're learning how this body works with us, how this mind gives us that chance and opportunity to perceive something differently than we ever have.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And so for those of you that don't know what mentorship is, let us share with you a little bit, because I think this is important. I've been observing, as I always do, and especially quite strongly over the last, I would say, year, on what we consider to be a spiritual community or spiritual leaders, guides, whatever you choose to call it. And the more I witness it, the more quiet I get. And I'm like, no, delete, 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 delete. Because at the end of the day, this whole journey is your journey. It's your experience. And whatever you choose to have in your experience is your free will, your choice. And so our whole foundation is very transparent, very solid, yet transparent. And we are simply guiding you through what maybe you're struggling with. And no, we're just like a mirror, a reflection for you. And we really just create a container and a circle of souls so that we can get together and explore a little more deeply in a safe container with each other. And, we were working, when we were in our breakout room, we were working on the gift of some healing and working on DNA. And it was quite profound what everyone was feeling and how everyone had their own way of seeing what was going on. And like anything, the more you do something, the better you get at it. And so it's that practice makes perfect, whatever perfect is, because I don't believe there's perfect, but that just getting in there and exploring yourself. Because when you authentically get to know who you are, you're not going to care what anybody thinks. You're not going to be influenced by anything you witness outside of yourself that is going on, you will learn and have the tools. Now put that in your toolbox, add that to your toolbox. No two people have the same toolbox. We've all got unique toolboxes as well. But the gift of being able to hold this space and hold this container is really quite profound and beautiful. So yeah, if anyone is interested, you're welcome. We have a free session coming up on the 25th, I think. Yeah. And I'll just pop the website on the bottom here. And so you can come and check it out. It's for you. It's for you to explore self and be in a safe space and really figure out your values. What matters to you? Who are you? Why did you come in? Astrology will help with that, astronomy. Why were you here? So finding your purpose it becomes like natural. Oh yeah, I can see, right? You start to see. You can't see if everything's coming at you at once and you're so busy with it. So we just invite you into a safe space. Shay, just do it. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you guys for the love and the thumbs up. We really appreciate it a lot. Yeah. Norma Jean, I wanted to tap a little more. We have a Cancer moon, Capricorn sun and Cancer moon right now. Do you want to put a few words to that? Because I can tell you're amused by it.
Well, talk about, your full 360, yet cut in half. Because we have the Tropic of Capricorn and then we have the Tropic of Cancer. And of course, that is, as the above, so below. And then, of course, you have the equator. So that's the reason why I say, you take a 360 and cut it in half, and you got 180. So, given some of the things that I've been experiencing a day within myself, it's quite fascinating how, when we look at ourselves and, they say that we orbit the moon. So you have the Earth that is spinning on its axis, which is tilted 23.5 degrees. And we're wobbling because, we're staying within an orbit. So when we're moving, the moon moves with us. And depending on where it's at, as we're doing our transiting, and with this being almost a full moon, what is it, tomorrow, I believe?
Yeah.
So it's you have the waning, you have the waxing. When we're in the in-between state, and if you're talking sun in Capricorn and moon in Cancer, wow, it's almost a tilting. But it's quite fascinating how, as even though the Earth orbits the sun, so to speak, and a counterclockwise, the moon is going clockwise around the Earth, and it's weaving in and out. Okay, there are times it's behind, and then there's times it catches up and it's in front. So it's kind of like it's doing this dance with us, because our emotions is what surrounds our heart. And Earth is considered Gaia, Earth, heart, and our emotions are divided, given the waning and the waxing of a moon, until we hit that full or we get that new moon. So it's almost like, okay, between this period in time, I've waxed and waned. That I'm full now. I'm ready to release, because now I've hit that full point, and it's time for me to sit and reflect and go over the last 2-3 weeks of just the accumulation of what have my days consisted of. How has the moon affected me on this day and this day, depending on, even in its position, whether it's waning or waxing. Are we at the beginning of the waxing, or are we at the the place where the waxing is fixing to become, the full or the new moon. So it's fascinating and great if you have a chance and opportunity just to say, how do I feel today? How do I feel? Because my emotions are telling me where I am. My emotions are telling me that this is what's taking place in my environment, and this is how I'm responding. Because you see, it's not about your environment; it's about your response to the environment. The person, place, thing is telling you something because it's mirroring what your feelings or what emotions may be coming up that you need to look at. So it's in a lot of that has to do with it's coming up because it's something that wasn't dealt with in the past, or it's coming up because it's still something that it keeps coming up because you've been asking the appropriate questions. How aware are you of what the ebb and flow of what's taking place within you is telling you and showing you, and in that is the feelings, being able to recognize those emotions to give the mind the understanding of this is what's still here, or this is what's coming up that needs to change, and this is a chance and opportunity in my here now time space in this environment, because it's mirroring to me something that I need to recognize or see that I can ascend due to understanding how I'm responding and reacting. It doesn't mean I'm taking action with that response or that reacting. What I'm doing is I'm noticing how my body is moving itself. What's that energy? So, in that environment, you see it's going to be something that, you begin to immediately tense up because you're ready to put up that resistance because there's something that's happening in your experience that is triggering something that still remains or resides where, this is that chance and opportunity to say, I will not respond or react. I feel you, body. If I have that chance and opportunity, I'll stand here and I'll reflect before I take action, so that I do not continue to make the same habitual choices due to me still mastering, understanding this harmony, in this peace, in this balance that I am still mastering.
Absolutely. And that's beautiful. Thank you, Norma. And it's true, right? If we didn't, so think about reacting. And as a fire sign, in the past, I can react. And I can react with fire. So if somebody was attacking me, guess what? Oh yeah, I'm not taking your shit. Right. And so, right?
So Mars.
Yeah, right. One must dance carefully with that, especially me, which is why time outside in nature is critical to my well-being, so to speak.
And everyone else's.
And what?
And probably, at the time when you started choosing, it probably was for others at the time also. Yeah.
Right? Absolutely. So. Absolutely. Yeah, it's not always, it's those in my environment as well.
Right.
So in making these choices differently, and as we, there's something about the moon. I keep getting this waxing and waning, wax on, wax off, wax on, wax off. So that correlates. It's part of that dance. Yeah. And I just wanted to clarify for everyone around the ascension, expansion, awareness, whatever you choose to call it. For what we are doing is expanding our consciousness. What is consciousness? It's your ability to have awareness that I am not the one thinking, I'm not the one speaking, I'm the one observing that. I'm the one sitting here listening to this, but not really saying it per se. That's the avatar. So what's the energy behind that? And where does that sit within you? Yeah. So we're mastering on how to get to know ourselves. And as an experience will come up, it's possibly one of the lessons, right? So how, oh my God, I always dated the same person. I hear that a lot until I realized I was always dating the same person. So until you expand your consciousness on the situation, you will never perceive it differently. So as a eternal soul, to me, there is no end and beginning. There isn't this dream, this life, whatever you choose to call it. But it takes a lot of the pressure and weight off when you realize this is not the end. This is like a small portion of. So what do I choose while I'm here to put to my best practice, my best use? If I'm a soul having a human experience and I'm here to learn these lessons, or I'm here to support, everyone's here to learn lessons, everyone's here to support, to be kind, right? To give back to nature, to realize that the blinders are coming off of everybody right now. And then we have this beautiful opportunity to expand our consciousness even further. If one had a direct line and called up source, God, whatever you choose to call it, it would be, oh, well, is it a good thing or a bad thing? You don't know until later on, whether that be a situation, a person, an event, for there will always be possibly what you consider good and possibly what you consider bad. So when you become more non-judgmental, so you're not judging from the mind and you're just observing in a neutral position, not to say that you don't care, but you have this ability to just observe it. And I'm not saying people and souls aren't suffering right now. They are, absolutely. But how does my going into despair, depression, anxiety, anger assist anybody? So all I can manage is my own energy. Is there something I can do to help? Is there someone that needs some support? Is there someone that needs some guide? Like, what can we do to be supportive versus, I'm going to go and wail and lose my shit over this. So you get to this point of expanding your consciousness that things will come up to test you again. That energy will show up again to see how you respond this time. And until that lesson is like done and dusted fully, it might show up again yet. So don't be surprised. You will. Once you see it and observe it, I actually smiled last time. I was like, oh, I know this one. No. So I was able to actually laugh about it because I was like, damn, almost didn't see that coming again. So it's definitely, when you have challenges, it can be a challenge. When you're in it, it's harder to observe it until you hit a space and place that you can. Yeah. We're so grateful for you all here. Carolyn's not here today, so might be taking a little more effort in trying to get the chats up. So even if he's my son, I'm affirming my stance firmly. No more masculine trying to write over the feminine. Command that. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So go ahead, Norma Jean.
If anything at this time, if anything's very vitally important, especially for the female, is to stand in her feminine power and essence, to understand how to come forward with our masculine counterparts, okay? Because especially our youthful masculine counterparts, they help them understand that, excuse me, to understand the importance of the female position, of the feminine position, not as, and then that comes to that place where you're able to be that female that knows the ultimate understanding of our feminine position. Okay. And what I mean by that is nurturing role, guidance role, being the one that holds things together, even when it seems as though everything's falling apart. Because the one thing about the feminine essence, the feminine energy, is that they tell you, especially in the South, mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy. But it's one of those that if that's the situation, for me, it was an experience that if my mom wasn't happy, it wasn't nobody happy. And it was because it was my mom standing in that feminine, power and essence of putting her foot down, setting those boundaries, whether it be that it was with my father or with me and my sister, in ways that, it was, even if we don't understand at that time what's taking place, it's enough to, make you stop, because it's a rare occasion that my mom would get to that place. And, and she's an Aries, just like me and my sister are. So, but it's one of those that with the masculine, they're going to need to understand and be led by the feminine in ways to help them understand how to reconnect with that part of themselves. So it's like, Tanya was speaking to, staying out of that judgment. And I can give you a bit of a breakdown of what I realized in myself, what I was doing after so long, that when I began to understand that, okay, I stepped out of judgment so much, so, over time, because I began to understand that having the chance and opportunity to have self-dialogue helped me to really recognize that it was only me I was fighting with to begin with. Was it the masculine and the feminine? Possibly. They have their dualingness within us as well. But a lot of it was also understanding that it was the energies outside that were affecting me as well. So there was a lot of it that, I was having to come to understand what was taking place, and it took time. I mean, it took some time. But the one thing that I come to understand where the truth of my sovereignty came in was that I got rid of the court. I got rid of the judge. I got rid of the lawyers because I quit. I recognized and I stopped allowing myself to live of the world and just be in it, but rid myself of it within me. To understand that even if I could get rid of that judgment and get rid of the judge and get rid of the court system within me, I was able to at least still have a chance and opportunity to, instead of having that court system, mediation. Even if I felt that if I needed to have a sounding board within myself, or excuse me, or with, someone I trusted that I could just have these conversations with, that helped me have greater mediation within myself until I got to where self-dialogue was just a part of who I became. And it still is a part of who I am. That I'm able to move quicker through anything that presents itself, because once I realize that I'm having that self-dialogue, I know I'm not in balance because I'm arguing with myself. And that's my go-to. That's when I know that I have to step away and gather myself and take those deep breaths, have whatever mediative conversation I need within myself, because I know what I'm doing is I'm recognizing where the energies went, what I need to do with that energy, set my boundaries with that energy until I get to a place that I release it. So for me to know if I'm out of balance is when I'm having that self-dialogue that is of, okay, what's going on? All right, why are you feeling this way? Okay, there's a little bit of tension here. There's something going on. Something's happening in the environment, whatever. Let's just talk this out. Let's just sit back, talk it out, see what's going on, see if we can release this. And then there's going to be times that, something's going to happen in my environment and that energy is going to pop off. And I'll be like, go away. You're childish. You do, it's not worth my energy. It's not worth my time. You're gone. So even at that point in time, there's no setting boundaries with that. It's immediately out. So I've come to just mediate myself so well that I don't have to have a court. I don't have to have those judge, and I don't have to have those 12 people sitting there helping me just put myself back and forth in prison, in jail of the mind. That way I can just stay in my heart and do the best and master every day, keeping that balance.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And that's beautiful. Nobody's, again, this is it's always a work in progress. It's not like, oh, I did it. Okay, I'm done. On to the next. It doesn't work like that. This is an ever evolving. Every breath you take is like the universe breathing. How aware of it are you? And yes, the whole thought thing and flicking them away. And yeah, it's, there's many, many ways to get through that. And you're right. If you're judging someone else, What is it you're judging about yourself, or that you're worried about others judging about you? Because that's usually what it stems from. So I tend to be a lot quieter, especially in groups. So there's a sound bath tonight that I'll be going to, and I'll be setting up the container and doing some energy work there and supporting. But I also just really, really observe, because I get to see so many different things if I'm just quiet and I'm just observing. And I just allow people to really tap into how they're feeling. So I don't encourage the conversation. This is a rest time, a reset time for you. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
yeah. And if you don't have a way of resetting or resting for self, and you're not getting enough sleep at night, and we have to remember self-care is not selfish. And this whole conversation has been around energies and what's going on externally, the chaos in the field, so to speak. It is a collective, cohesive creation. So, as much as we all strive to create that which we desire, we have to remember how many are out there working on something in the complete opposite direction. So it takes even more love and more holding in our hearts. Hi, Tanja. Holding more love in our hearts and just working on our own resonance.
Yeah. And, this is all, to a level and degree. There's so much that I'm experiencing, especially since, we've come into January. It's been an enormous amount of just up, for me, and it just coming in and coming in and coming in. So I knew that time where it was, okay, it's time to come back, ground in, get yourself set to all that you've come into, and prepare for, what's to come after this. And was it last night I was talking to you that it was after I'd been listening. I actually listened to Jessica's last one, that last live, and there was just so much coming through that I just really, really understood about what she was speaking to and what she was speaking about. That I was in that process of memories coming forward, because what happened was I was sitting there and I was cutting something up, and while Tanya was cooking away, and I'm kind of there, kind of not, because there's a lot just taking place and coming through and coming up. So as I'm standing there, I asked T, I says, T, is there times that it seems as though there was a part of you that knew something that was given to you that is coming forward, and it seems as though you're having what they call a deja vu, but it's not so much a deja vu, that it was where, as Chastity was talking about so many times, that, we would ascend and they'd put us back down. We would ascend and they'd put us back down. Given what was taking place here, that what I was getting from that was that is sometimes between 11 or 12 years old, I knew I was standing right there in the kitchen doing the exact same thing that I was doing. And so it's like, what is this? It's still something that I'm in the process of mastering, understanding how it is that this information comes and comes through me and reminds me that it's like, because I was so still connected whenever I was young. There were things that I experienced and that I knew that I just, I've forgotten about, and it's just now coming back through, because I was so active, especially in my travels at night, even more so, that I'm back at that place and space, because it's like for these last 3 nights, all it's been about is the cosmos, and it's been about astronomy and astrology for me.
That's so what you've been working on.
Well, that's true. So, but it's like my mind is like, because what I'm seeing is that what was being shown was this astrological wheel sitting upon a sun disk. And it's almost like, what was being shown was what we're all mastering here is getting back to this place of lining back up to understand our direction. That what happened is kind of like we're wanting to meet up with the sun in which we were birthed through. That is us. And and it's like I'm coming so much to understand, as much as I can about this, about where we're at, so I can better understand, because now, at night before I go to bed, I'm reading stuff about astronomy. I'm reading about the constellations. I'm understanding the constellations, just like Antlia and coming to, was it Antlia or Anlia? It's Antlia, I believe. And it being the air pump. And then reading the rest of that and just going, wow, and it's kind of blowing my mind, because I'm understanding more and more the connections, how these constellations were created. And so it's just, that ebb and flow of information where it's like, okay, I've gained this. Let's sit with it. Let's see what comes through. Let's, and I do it at night on purpose. So that way that information is fresh whenever I do lay down to rest this avatar, because I know if it's fresh, then what's going to happen is in my travel, something's going to show up.
Yeah. Beautiful. Absolutely. And Chastity is saying all in perfect timing, letting you know it's lining up. Lining up the sun disk is part of the Egyptian queen line duties during processional turns. So, and that, remember? So during my plant medicine journeys and doing DMT, Norma has a completely different experience than me. All I saw was myself with my knees bent like a sundial being turned. and it's from this. So Chastity and I had a conversation about that. And I'm like, well, at least I know what the hell that was. Because I kept asking, nobody had any info. I'm like, all right, give me more info. Well, it took over a year to get the info. Yeah. Realized that sun disk was clearing and connecting. Yeah, a level. Absolutely. Woohoo!
Yeah, because you can't rely on the mind to really actually, or I don't know if it's the mind or if it's the brain, but it's one of them you can't rely on, because it's like sometimes there's a little bit of clarity there, and then the rest of it's like boing, it's all over the place, and it's just going, and you're trying to do what you can to understand where you're at and what's going on.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. That's interesting. There's over on the Rumble chat, there's something called, I don't know if anyone knows anything about this. Bot Boost Rumble has rated this stream. So somebody's trying to get some promotion out of it. It's the first time I've seen that one. Yeah. There we go. Yes, 22 is on my knee. Yeah. Beautiful. Yeah. That's why our chakras are flipping. Right? Oh, there you are. Nice to see you tonight. Yeah. Right? Absolutely. Block all Tomb Raiders. Command, yes. Block all Tomb Raiders. No, thank you. Man. And in going to Egypt, that's going to be quite profound. Because I'm so selective about where we go anyway, but you're not allowed to go to so many areas because oh no, it was just discovered. So they have this massive mafia set up in Egypt around this money-making tourism. It's so transparent to those of us that see. And there's so many fake temples made out of sand that people are, going to and saying, oh, I had this experience. Yes, you may have with the energies, but those are not original stones, that the stone has memory in the same way. So yeah, I have no idea what you're tapping into. So definitely, I'm excited about back to the Giza. That's one of my favorite spots, and getting into those. And we'll try and get into the Queens this time and do things a little differently. And then up at Valley of the Kings, most of it is manipulated, crossed out, moved, faked. Yeah. So once you start to notice, you're like, oh, something doesn't feel right in here. I don't know. And then all the guards are really just trying to make money. So having somebody with you that can guide you through this stuff, it's yeah. And then the original Isis temple, which is probably my favorite because we get to go to that beautiful water into that smaller town. Yeah, it's quite stunning and beautiful. So absolutals. Where are we at? We're at 46. Nice. Well,
I feel like we've been on for hours.
doesn't it? Yeah. Well, and I was just thinking that, time is shifting so differently. Sometimes it's really speeding up, like the first 35 minutes went by really fast. And it's just this dance going on. So everyone was just take a nice deep breath. And remember that your breath is you, that is sustaining you. And your heart is that beautiful vortex that beats as unique as you. Well, there's no two people with the same heartbeat. I only found that one out recently. Did you know that, Norma Jean?
Mm-hmm. Of course. I mean, I knew that because of, I was a CNA for 22 years.
Yes.
I I had to learn the flow of the heart and how the blood entered and what chamber and all that it would go through because, you have the aorta and the um, aortic valve and all that. So, but it's one of those. I remember whenever I was young and I took my first CPR class, that the one thing I always questioned was, I don't understand why we stop and give a breath so many times. Now I'm 20 something years old at this time, because we would give like 30 compressions and then we would give 2 breaths, 30 compressions and then give 2 breaths. And I never understood that because as we're giving compressions, guess what's happening? We're moving air in and out. So I found it quite fascinating and amazing that about 10, maybe 12 years ago, it came out that they changed the way that they were doing CPR, and they were doing more compressions, whether it was, I think it was anywhere between 60 to 90, and then giving a breath. So I found it fascinating that it was something that came across my, that came up in my, that here in that time and space, that it was something that I was observant of, where, as we're doing compressions, that, I felt we were giving too much breath, because at the time you had to worry about then too, that you did not give too much air, because then it would be working against you. So that was quite fascinating for me. And then on top of, whenever I was doing phlebotomy, what was even more fascinating is I don't know, is because you was talking about gamma rays and x-rays, but whenever I was doing phlebotomy classes, I could see people's veins before I popped them, or before I would raise them up by putting the tourniquet on them. I could see their veins. So quite fascinating you brought that up, because I just remembered all that.
Right. And Shay's saying now you can only do compressions. You can no longer with the air. You can only do the compressions. Can you explain to everyone why that would be? So that because the heart's a vortex, right? Do you want to explain that a little bit more? Because I know you have good insight on that.
Well, I mean, when you're looking at a vortex, in given how the human form is made up, doing the compressions, you're already you're already moving the chest, because the compressions is what's most important, because you want to get the heart going.
Yeah.
But you want to make sure it's of a steady flow.
Yeah.
Because the heart is the igniter. And you've got to get the electrical and the magnetic by, the compressions going again. It's almost like going out and trying to crank a cold car. It takes a few times. before it ignites.
That's a good analogy. I like that one.
Okay. So, and whenever you're doing that, what most people, because even then, like I said, I never understood why they were doing CPR, which at the time, I didn't have the common sense to even say anything then, but I never understood that because I had enough understanding about the human form where I was like, we're already moving everything because of the up and down compressions. And we're giving them pretty good and fast. Okay. So everything's moving. Even whenever you're doing that compression, the blood is moving because, like I said, the most important thing was getting the heart going, and you had to be given enough compressions until they showed up with something to, to zap them with, to give them that shock to get the heart going again. So
it's like jump starters, right? So just like the jump starters on a car battery, which should remind you again why your hands and feet are terminals. Yeah.
Or you can look at it this way. It's like trying to unclog a toilet. It's kind of the same concept because it's a vortex.
Right.
So a vortex gets clogged. So what do? You got to clear the clog. And you got to put the pressure. So yeah, but always understand the heart is everything to your existence. So it's always about getting the heart reignited with that spark that's still there.
Yeah, absolutely. Hello, Sherry. How are you? Good to see you. Yeah, and that's a good point. The human avatar is such a wacky thing when we think too long about it.
Well, we've been taught to be ashamed of it.
Right?
So that's a lot of undoing of that programming too, that we're here to come through, because I'm as much as I can, I'm still going to be bringing forth the understanding of how all of it's connected and how it affects out here, because it starts here first and it's emitted. That's the electromagnetism. So yeah, and the form is actually a very profound avatar when you understand the workings of each area and stuff. It became even more profound to me when I began to understand the connections of the planets and the emotions and things like that. So it's like, it blows my mind.
Please don't blow your mind yet. We want you here.
Okay, so it's profound to the mind because the mind's like, oh, I can do that? Because the mind only knew programs.
Yeah.
So you really are reteaching and reprogramming, re-educating your mind to see beyond what it was always given in those narratives and those limited belief systems and things like that was out there, where was not meant to know how powerful and how beautiful and how profound this avatar is, because in all actuality, there's a spark of who we are in it. I am me, I am.
Yeah.
And, but when you come to understand that connection is to a star, because you are that star, because you chose to come here, which meant you had to become the star to provide the spark to come in.
Yep.
Or at least that's my interpretation and understanding of the perspective and perception.
I think a very valid one. Why do you think there's so many more stars? Right? I just want to add to this one too, beautiful Norma. Enter the Void says, no heart equals AI. Well, in many ways, we are AI. We are advanced intelligence. So we want to rewrite the script on that.
Yeah.
And yeah, absolutely. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Patty's using her tuning forks. Yay!
Yeah.
Yay!
Yeah, because us being AI, advanced intelligence, is what created artificial everything. Because everything outside of us is artificial.
Yeah.
Every bit of it. We are the unique and divine.
Yeah, absolutely.
We are the alchemizers. So yeah. Yeah.
And let's just, before we wrap up, touch a little bit on, this whole nature thing. We were laughing on our hike today when I was out with my friend Ravi, because we were hanging on, we were climbing up. We don't normally do when it wasn't that challenging. It's just there was some snow and some mud and some trees. And yeah, oh yes, the draw. Thank you for remembering. And we were talking about the grounding, and just being out there is so grounding. It's set up that way intentionally, that nature always nurtures. Get your ass grounded if you need to, because it is the number one thing that'll make you feel better. Oh, wait. Da, 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 da. Drum roll. Who's the winner? Draw. December. I can't read it. Oh, wait. You're getting there. You're getting there. Oh.
Mohi Noor?
Yeah. Mohi Noir. Woohoo! So we'll get you emailed. Can you spell the name? Moji?
Yes.
And Nour.
Nour.
Okay. We do have a Noir as a contact, so I'm going to assume that that's them. Awesome. Congratulations. We'll send you an email with the link on how to book that in, and I look forward to connecting with you. What else do we have to say? I think that's it for today. Just sending you all so much love. You know, wherever you're at and whatever's going on for you, just know that you've got this. You're not broken. No. And just, it is always craziest before big breakthroughs. It's always most chaotic. So hold that in your heart. You know, a fire means a purification, a cleansing. When the fires happened at Vedette, I was in tears at first. And then the next time I came out, I went, oh, I get it. Nature's running its course. The fireweed comes up first. Like there's this plethora, and then morel mushrooms the next year. It's amazing how innately guided nature is. Yeah, it's so profound and so beautiful and so exciting. So just remember that. Remember that, please. Hold that in your heart.
Yeah.
Norma?
Yeah, you know, it's beautiful that you bring up that about the fires in Vedette. That I remember when I was small, you know, I didn't understand at the time. My dad would be, you know, would clear the land and would burn. And, you know, I remember asking him, you know, why do you do that, Dad? You know, why do you clear the land and then burn? And he says, it's because you clear the land so that you may be able to produce something from it. But yet whatever you clear, you must give back in a different stage or a different form of alchemization. And when you burn upon your land, then what you're able to do is take that and it alchemizes in a way where it enriches the land, because what you took down, you gave back in a different way. So yeah, it's about understanding that we go through this every day. And like I said, it's not about ascending out of here. It's about ascending what we understand, where we are in our understanding, so that we get back on track and become those great co-creators that we've always meant to be, and to alchemize things in ways that, you know, we're getting back in touch with and getting back attuned with. So we're attuned with nature. So as we understand that about ourselves, we begin to understand that more, that we're getting back into those natural state and laws of the universe that have been here since the beginning. And that's the beauty of this process. So keep burning in ways that produces those new phoenixes.
Beautiful.
Rising in your understanding, in your love for self, and do away with the judge, get rid of the court system. So, because I'm not here to judge you. I'm here to do what I can to enlighten you and guide you in ways for you to understand that you're just as I am, and just as profound. So,
yeah. Wow, that was beautiful, Norma Jean. We love you. You guys have a beautiful day.